Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Sports Corner Tier List. It is me and Will again today. We've done the full cycle finally of everybody and it's back to the two of us. Today we're doing Premier League predictions on a tier list. How are you feeling today, Will?
I'm feeling good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to, I'm ready for you to rank some teams. I'm interested to see what you're going to do today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely. New season's nearly here. I mean, it's been quickest turnaround in football history, really. You know, it don't feel like 2 minutes since the season finished, and it's only, 2-3 weeks away? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And yeah, of course, my team doesn't play till the second week. Fuck that, whatever that European break is. But we'll dive straight in. Before we start, we like to do 2 questions and start of the day. So today, Will, the start of the day. Now, I think the only person who has known the start of the day so far has been Kieren. Josh, right. I think Josh said he had heard it, but not necessarily he knew it. So this is the start of the day today, Will. Liverpool have actually made 19 errors that have directly led to shots. In fact, only relegation threatened Aston Villa and Tottenham have worse records in that field. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Did not know that at all.
What do you think about that stat?
Like you say, I mean, when you look at Liverpool's defence as a whole, you see it as a defence that doesn't concede a lot of goals. You see it as more of a defence that likes to play from the back. So when I see 19 errors made from, directly led to shots, I mean, I didn't expect. I know, obviously, the Arsenal game there was 2 clear errors, but yeah, I wasn't aware that only Aston Villa and Tottenham had worse records in us.
So we got some people in here already. We've got Chris Watch saying, "Hi lads, hope you're both well. Sorry not been on recent streams. Been grafting hard at work. Well, you keep up the graft, mate. Keep up that graft." And Higster has said, "All right, lads." All right as well, Higster lad. So the first question I've got, of course, we do 2 questions. We ask the guests before we start the tier list, just as a little icebreaker type thing before we move into the actual tier list. So the first question I've got for you, Will, is: will we see a different style of Premier League title race this season? Of course, there's been a few teams that are strengthening. There's been a few teams that have done nothing. Man United. Obviously, those teams from the chasing pack, like your Arsenals, your Chelseas, your Tottenhams, those type of teams, will we see those come back into the title race this season, or do you think it's going to be another 1 or 2 horse race?
I mean, I don't know if it's just going to be a 1 or 2 horse race, but I definitely think the gap's going to be closer. I can't see Liverpool winning the league by, how many? I think they won it by like 18, 17 points, something like that. I can't see them winning it by that margin. I think you'll see Chelsea and Man United close the gap on City, but I also think you'll see Man City close the gap on Liverpool. And I think, teams like Spurs, Leicester, Arsenal, I think you could see a lot of interchanging between those 3 teams fighting for, to get up there. But I think, in my opinion, the gap will definitely close between those top 4 teams from last season: Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Man United.
Yeah, just speaking on Chelsea, I think they have reached an agreement to sign Kai Havertz. That has just been tweeted 26 seconds ago by Fabrizio Romano, obviously credible journalist, probably the best in the game. So now you've answered that, we'll move on to the next question. We'll get stuff moving a little bit quicker today, because last week's episode took nearly 2 hours. That's because Josh was reading out the stats that he'd written down. Fair play to Josh. Thank you to Josh as well for being such a welcome guest. Higgs has got a few comments. Said 1 error every 2 games on average. Then Tottenham will be outside the top 6 this season, and it could happen again because we know what type of manager Jose Mourinho is.
Yeah.
My second question to you, Will, it's a hard one to predict, to be fair, based on nothing that you've seen at all. Who will win the Premier League Golden Boot this season? Of course, Salah, Aubameyang, Rashford. Rashford's been thrown in there because I'm a United fan. Gary Kane, all those people. Timo Werner. Who's going to be the Golden Boot winner this season?
It's so tough because, like you said, there's so many different names up there, and I don't want to be biased because I know I would like to say Salah yet again because he always just seems to score so many goals. I mean, Mane is more of that player who scores maybe the crucial goal, maybe more consistent goal scorer, but Salah can go off score 3-4 goals in a game. But I'm not going to go biased. I'm not going to pick a Liverpool player. I'm going to pick outside of Liverpool to make it a bit interesting. And I'm probably going to go with Aubameyang. I think he's just fits so well in that Arsenal team, and that's if he stays. I know there's been rumours of him linking away, but I think he's getting close to that new contract. I'm going to go with Aubameyang. He's never stayed in the Arsenal team. He never really seems to get hurt, and yeah, I'm going to go with Aubameyang.
I think it's. I think that's one of the safer options to go with. Of course, you've got people like Vardy, Danny Ings might not have the similar seasons that they've had this season. Of course, they're going to have a lot more games to play Leicester as well. Chris Watcher said, "I always say Aguero's win the Golden Boot. fitness is his main problem. Yeah, he was unlucky. He probably would have won the Golden Boot this season if he didn't get injured. Got a few more comments. Higgs just said, getting quite annoyed with the Glazers and Woodward transfer dealings whilst looking across at Chelsea and seeing them actually backing the manager. That's just recruitment for you. Chelsea's recruitment's always been fantastic, no matter what. Got a lot of people in here, by the way, today. Yeah. Ben Bose said, I say if Crystal Palace don't sign 3 players, they will go down. Ivan said, well. Asian Persuasion Mandingo Bingo, of course. Throwback, real big throwback to the Deadline Day stream. But we'll just talk about Crystal Palace for a little bit, because I know, Benbo, you know me in here quite a bit. You're obviously a Palace fan yourself. We talked a little bit about him last week, about Zaha potentially leaving to Brett and replacing him with Brett Benrahma from Brentford. Yeah. Not Brentford. What do you think about Crystal Palace? Of course, if they do lose Zaha, they do need to really replace him, because he is excellent.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't want to reveal my my pick for where I've got him in the league this season. I will give a bit of a clue. I definitely have him lower finish this season than they did last season. I just, like you say, with the constant links of Zaha leaving, it can't be good for the team. And I think if Zaha do leave, I'm just wondering, where do Crystal Palace get the goals from? Roy Hodgson's, he's done a decent job with Crystal Palace since he's taken over. It's been there a few years now, but I do agree. I think Palace need to make more signings, because it just seems such like a stale club to me. And eventually, you'll see, teams like Bournemouth, who started when they first got promoted, they surprised everybody, and they started to drop lower and lower and lower as they got more stale, I think, in the league. But yeah, I think Palace, I don't want to give too much away, because we're going to go on to them, but I will give a clue. I have them finishing lower this season than they did the previous season.
Yeah, Chris has made a good point, actually. He said if they lose Zaha, they need to spend the money wisely. But personally, Ayew was Palace's best player last year. That's what Chris has said. Ivan said Bowen, of course, Gareth Bowen, the meme from Deadline Day. Zaha was inconsistent last season, and Higgs has said top scorer for me will be Kane if he manages to stay fit. Higgs also said Palace need to go for Edouard if they lose Zaha. I think the good thing for Palace is that Zaha didn't really score that many goals last season, and Jordan Ayew was probably the person that kept them up. In all honesty, he was absolutely fantastic last season. That's why I had him in my team this season. The amount of points that he won, similar to Aubameyang at Arsenal, to be fair, the amount of points he won for that side kept them up a little bit, and obviously Arsenal kept them further up the table. But we will now. I'll just let you have your little word on Palace, and then we'll move on to the tier list.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you say, Ayew was brilliant for them last season. But I think losing Zaha, you lose that main threat, because Zaha, when he picks up the ball, the defence constantly think, right, we need to close this guy down. We need to account for him. Whereas if you lose Zaha, you're losing a lot of flair. You're just losing a lot of creativity in general. It would be a big loss. But again, Ayew played really well last season. I just hope he can, put it into next season and have another good season to make sure it's not just a one-season wonder.
Yeah, he was very good last season. We'll just finish these comments and we'll move on to the tier list. Benbo has said Palace joined the race with Ramsey, but I think it's too unlikely. He would be on crunching wages. His wages would be out of the roof. And Ivan said, Werner, he has Pulisic, Ziyech, and Havertz soon to be done. Confirmed by Romano. Yeah, we had a little bit of word about that earlier. Chris Watch said, need to watch out for Zaha falling in the box, of course. Yeah. But we will move on to the tier list now. Apologies now if I do miss any comments. I have got the stream open on my other monitor as well.
I'll try and read them out as well, obviously.
If I miss any comments, I'll try my best to read them out. But if I do miss them, apologies. Just maybe put them back in, and then it'll maybe come up. Because I think only 3 comments will be seen at a time if you watch on a YouTube stream. Higgs said, who do you think will be the surprise player this season? We will have a word about that at the end, Higster. We're just going to get onto the tier list now. And we're gonna absolutely smash it up. Right, is the tier list up on the screen for you, Will?
Yep, looking fine.
And are you ready to just jump straight in?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So Arsenal will, obviously, before I'll run through the tiers, we've got Champions League, Europa League, mid-table to bottom half. Now, that one's quite harsh because that is 8th to 17th, and relegation, which is 17th to 20th, but it's not, because that's 18th to 20th. Don't know why I've put that in there. I'll just change that now. So we'll start with Arsenal, Will. Where are they finishing this season? Of course, they've signed 2 new players, 2 Brazilians.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely messing this up here. There we go. They've signed 2 new players, 2 Brazilian players.
Yeah.
In Gabriel and Willian, of course, moving from the other side of London. They finished 8th last season. Where are they coming this season?
So this season, I've got Arsenal finishing in 6th place.
Right.
The reason for it, like I say, I mean, I do believe in Mikel Arteta. I think he's the right man for the job at Arsenal. And those 2 new signings they brought in, obviously they definitely signed Willian. We think they've signed Gabriel. It's pretty much done. So he's going to definitely help the defence. And I've seen a lot of people criticising the Willian transfer. I actually like it because I think when he played for Chelsea last season, he was one of their more consistent performers. I know he's 32 years of age and a 3-year deal on that big wage looks horrible, but if worst comes to worst, you can sell him with 1 year left in his contract. Someone might take the contract on anyway. But I think bringing Willian to the club brings a lot more creativity. I think Mikel Arteta just getting his ideas into the squad, getting his own players in, getting his own philosophy in. I think Arsenal are bound to have a better season they had last season. 8th position for them. It was poor. It was really poor, but they are still in the Europa League, so there's still something to fight for in Europe. And some people can say that can hinder Premier League position. But I think Arsenal, I agree, 6th place is where I think they finish.
Chris agrees with you as well. And Higgs has said Arsenal also have Saliba coming back on low as well, of course. Me and you, we have jokes about William Saliba and never seen him play football in his life, but apparently he's the next coming of Maldini. Ronaldo's in the building. He's put, "What's up, lads? What's up, Ronaldo?" Thank you, by the way, to everybody in the stream, by the way. We've got a lot of people in here. If you are new, do hit the subscribe button. We are on the road to 700 subscribers. Hit the like button as well. We already have, I think, about nearly 8 or 9 likes on the video as well, which is great. We'll move on now, Will, to a team that stayed up via a technical difficulty, you could say.
Yeah.
Where obviously Aston Villa stayed up by a point, the point that they gained when they played Sheffield United at Bramall Lane, and the technology just absolutely failed. So it'll be interesting to see where you've got Aston Villa coming this season. Obviously, they might lose Jack Grealish and a few other players. I don't know if they've brought anybody in or not, but where do you think Aston Villa come this year?
So I've got Aston Villa finishing 15th this season. I think they'll have a better season than last season. They've not brought anybody in, but if I'm looking at the squad right now, they've still got all the Grealish and they've still got all of some other players that were linked away. So I think they do stay up again this season. I think players like Samatta that they signed up front, I think he'll have a better season, settled into the Prem more. And obviously, it was Villa's first season back last season in the Premier League, and it is very tough for a team to adapt when you've been in the Championship for 2 or 3 seasons to adapt straight to that Premier League season. And they managed to stay up, which was good for them. But I think Dean Smith, second year in the league, I think he'll do a much better job. And I think Villa, they will just stay up this season.
Yeah, we had a few comments then. Ivan was talking about St Maximin leaving. Personally, don't think he'll leave. Higgs has said, I reckon Villa will have a good season this year, finish 12th to 13th. Welchie said, referee for Villa versus Sheffield United be getting Christmas cards from Aston Villa as he was looking at Fitbit Watch, not Goal Line Technology Watch. Higgs has also said, Wesley coming back from injury will be a good boost for them. Ivan said, Wesley will improve and McGinn back from injury. That's true.
Yeah,
Bernardo said, Pepe Reina returned to his parent club. Also, they may have goalkeeper problems in Villa. Pepe Reina signed. Is it Lazio he signed for?
I think he's got Lazio signed. Yeah.
I think they announced that yesterday.
Yeah.
So, like Bernardo says, that is a goalkeeper problem. So, by the way, Arsenal did sign Pablo Mari. That has literally just come up on my phone now.
So another defender.
We forgot about him. He obviously was struck with injuries.
Yeah.
Welchie said 14 for Villa. Ivan said they have Heaton, to be fair. Of course, they do have Tom Heaton. That's the main reason they went out and got Pepe Reina in the first place, because he was injured.
Yep. I think, like you said, there's many comments coming in here. Wesley, coming out from injury, will be a big boost for them. And I think I genuinely forgot that John McGinn missed quite a big portion of last season, and it was a big miss for them in the midfield. A lot of creativity, a lot of dynamism from John McGinn. He's a strong player, but he's also a very creative player. But yeah, I do think Villa will definitely stay up this season. I think there's just too much quality in that squad to go down, really.
Yeah, they have a lot of similar players. Like, I think of the team, they've got Douglas Luiz, Conor Hourihane, and Narvalis Nakamba are all similar type of players. They're all like gritty, win the ball back and try and get quick attacks going. Obviously, Conor Hourihane's fantastic with his set pieces and stuff, but I don't think Douglas Luiz, and particularly Marvelous Nakamba, I don't think he's cut out for the Premier League. But like Adam said, Douglas Luiz can improve.
Yeah, he's still only a young player. We saw flashes last season where he played pretty well, but I agree. Maybe Villa could do a bit better in that position, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see if they bring anybody in, because they've not actually signed anybody yet. They're not actually meant to put any bigger yet.
He loves a long shot as well. But we'll move on to Brighton, who finished 15th, stayed up with a few of the last games to go. Quite a, I say, disappointing end to the season, because they started quite well. Obviously, they did the double over Arsenal. They beat Spurs 3-0 as well. Of course, for them, I think that their fans are more accepting of this style of football. Of course, it's a big change from what Chris Hugh and Adam playing last year. Where have you got Brighton finishing this year?
So I've got Brighton staying up by the skin of their teeth. I think Brighton will finish 17th this season. Reason for it is because I do like the signings they've brought in. Obviously, they've brought in Adam Lallana on a free transfer from Liverpool. They've brought in Joel Veltman from Ajax. Lars Ndonka, I believe, is the brother of Leandro, plays for Wolves, the older brother. But yeah, I think the Brighton will just stay up this season. I was tempted to put them down, but I feel like they've got a striker in Mope who's going to get 10 to 12 goals a season, which is good enough to keep you up, in my opinion. The defence is still very good. Obviously got Lewis Dunk at the back. The lad that's from Bristol City Bristol City last season, Webster. Yeah, they've still got him. And I think Lamptey, a right back's definitely going to improve. So when I look at their back line, I think it's a very good back line. And bringing Lallana can bring more creativity. Trossard, he had a decent debut season. I think he's only going to get better, to be honest, with settling into the Premier League. When you talk about them on paper, they look like a very solid team, as you can see. He just put in the comments as well. Ben White also going back from Leeds, he could definitely start for them, as they're demanding like 30 million for him. But I think Brighton, they'll just stay up. You might think we're being a bit harsh, but last season they did finish 15th, 16th, and they were close to going down. But I think this season they will stay up.
Yeah, of course. Lewis Dunk signed a new 5-year deal, which is absolutely massive for Brighton, because the centre-back partnership of Dunk and Duffy pretty much kept him in the league a few years ago. Of course, that's changed a little bit with some injuries and Duffy being shipped out of the team for the likes of Adam Webster and Dan Burn, of course, the 6'7" left back. We've got a few more comments. Ivan said Connolly, Lamptey and Morpay. Of course, we didn't speak about Aaron Connolly, who can improve. Adam Lallana as well, and Trossard only can be good onwards. Ben White, if he stays too. I think Ben White will stay. But the midfield of Brighton, now, it's on paper, it's quite a good midfield, because you're gonna add the likes of Lallana to a midfield with Basuma, Pascal Gross. I absolutely love Yves Basuma. He's such a good player. They've got quite a decent-ish midfield. David Proper as well, even though he's prone to an error. And going forward, they've got obviously the likes of Solly March and Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, who's probably out the door. Aaron Connolly, Neil Morpay as well, who's a goal scorer. Like you said, he'll get you 10 to 12 goals this season. And I think he's been very, very good this season, Neil Morpay. He's the main reason why they've stayed up. We've already seen that this season. His goals, and I didn't really expect him to be this good, stepping up from the Championship, of course. And I think I do agree with you that they will just stay up, because we saw towards the end of the season the style of football that they play that can be caught out sometimes. Like, we absolutely hammered them. Our teams absolutely hammered them at the Amex when we played them. And got some more comments. Moy is very inconsistent, and Aaron Moy is quality also. Aaron Moy is very good, but like Ivan says, he is very inconsistent. Definitely.
And I think Aaron Moy, he might struggle to find that starting place in the midfield, because obviously Basuma is still a pretty young player, and in my opinion, I agree with you, he's a very good player. I think bringing Adam Lallana, and he brings the experience, he brings the flair, because when Adam Lallana can stay fit, I still believe he's still a very good player. Just for a team like Liverpool, who've got so much depth in that midfield, he was never going to play, but I think at a team like Brighton, it could be a very big contribution to the team.
Of course, Morpay is a cheater con to Arsenal fans, and they are one of the weaker teams in the league, to be fair. That's what Higgs just said. We'll move on now to Burnley. Now, we don't like Burnley, do we, Will? Because they're just not a football team. They're a kick the fuck out of you off the pitch sort of team. They finished 10th this season, level on points with Arsenal. Level on points with Sheffield United, sorry. Don't disrespect to Arsenal fans. As Ty said, hope Brighton get relegated. But Burnley, they finished smack bang in the middle of the table on 54 points. Now, I hope you've got them to go down, Will, but I don't think you will do. Where are Burnley finishing this season?
I've not got them to go down, unfortunately, as much as we would like Burnley to go down, because they're a boring club. Sorry if there's any Burnley fans in the chat. But I've got them staying up. I've got them finishing 14th. It just seems like such a Burnley position to finish. The reason... Go on.
Yeah, I would say we'll sort the positions out at the end of the thing, because it'll take me years to remember where you've put them. So at the end, we'll just run through again, 1st to 20th, and I'll sort them out for you. But go on, what were you going to say about Burnley?
I think Burnley will set up the season. I just think Sean Dyche, he's got their play style. The players know their play style. The players know how to play, and they just know how to grind results out. They play very well at home. The defense is still a solid defense, but it's just not a very inspiring team, is it? Let's be honest. I mean, you've got in your front lines Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. Yeah, they're not the most exciting players to watch. The big target men, but they can finish. They can score goals, and I just think that it'll be enough to keep Burnley up this season. Obviously, they are a very boring team. But like I said, Sean Dyche has got his playing style. The players know how to play for him, and it seems to be working for them so far in the Premier League. So I think they'll stay up. And obviously, Nick Pope's a fantastic keeper. He won the Golden Glove last season. So as long as they've got him in there, they've always got a chance of getting clean sheets.
comments are absolutely flying in about Burnley here. Burnley will be able to push for Europa place. That's what Higgs has said. Burnley are the new West Brom. Josh has said, poor Burnley. Those Tony Pulis days. Main word for Burnley is Pope, me, Tarkowski. So crucial keeping all of them. That is true. Of course, I absolutely fucking hate Ben Mee. He is the epitome of a Burnley centre-back, I think.
It is.
But, he's just an absolute kick the fuck out of you type of player. But Burnley is an interesting one, of course. They do tend to get a lot of grinding out results, like you said. They know how to beat the teams around them. Obviously, they get smashed by the likes of Man City every season. I think 14th is quite a respectable position, but I don't think the Burnley fans will be happy with that because, of course, they think they want to be pushing for Europa League. And Higgs has said Dwight McNeil will only get better as well. That is true.
Yeah, but the problem, Dwight McNeil has been linked with a move away, and I think if another club came sniff around for Dwight McNeil, I think he'd definitely be tempted to leave Burnley.
Yeah, he's definitely the most flair player in their squad. Charlie Taylor is definition of cheese, sandwich and ready solid food.
What was comment that is?
That is brilliant, Ivan. Thank you very much. We have talked about Burnley. Now we're on to maybe one of the most interesting decisions, Will. Now, Chelsea, they finished 4th this season on goal difference behind Manchester United because of how many goals we scored towards the end of the season. Now, they have just agreed with Kai Havertz and possibly agreed with Thiago Silva. They've already signed Werner, Ziyech, and I'm sure I'm missing someone else.
They're pretty much on the verge of signing Ben Chilwell as well from Leicester.
Sorry, yeah, that's probably the person I'm thinking of. Ivan said second easily. Where have you got Chelsea finishing this season? Of course, all those players have to gel into the side as well. They're not just going to jump straight in.
I've got Chelsea finishing 3rd this season. Like you say, they finished last season in 4th position, still got Champions League. A decent Prem season for debut season for Frank Lampard, got him into the Champions League with a transfer ban, albeit. But like you say, the players they've brought in, Ziyech, Werner, looking like they're bringing in Havertz. Thiago Silva's been linked. Ben Chilwell's also been linked.
Malang Sarr as well.
Sorry, someone tried to ring me there. Sorry about that. Yeah, Malang Sarr's been linked. There's too much quality in that front line for Chelsea to not score goals. Obviously, you can look at the defence. It is suspect. I think that they will concede a few goals. But bringing in Ben Chilwell, bringing in Thiago Silva, they could be good signs. And although these massive transfer fees have been linked, at the end of the day, if the club can afford it, they might as well bring the players in. They'll definitely improve next season. I can't see them finishing ahead of Liverpool, Man City, but they will definitely close the gap between those two teams, I think, with the players they've signed up front. And I think it's going to be a very exciting season for Chelsea fans.
I mean, I think it is exciting already. I think the thing is, like Justin said there, Onana, they need a goalkeeper. That's the main thing that they need. Because I don't think Willy Caballero or Kepa are good enough anymore. Of course, we saw a few mistakes that they make. And as a Manchester United fan, I'm saying they're not good enough. And I've been watching David De Gea all season. So I think that's the only thing that they need to maybe try and sort out next. And then I think they will probably be challenging the likes of Man City and Liverpool, of course. But Chris Watch said 3rd or 4th, need 2, United get 2. They will link to Pope, won't they? Kepa, the manager, is not leaving.
Kepa, the manager.
So I'm sure Bembo will be interested in this one. Moving on to Crystal Palace one. Now Crystal Palace fans, I don't think they'll be happy. They had a very good start to the season before lockdown. Before the lockdown finished, and Premier League restarted. They were looking towards Europa League and possibly nicking that last spot. They did finish 14th in the end on 43 points. Of course, they lost their last 9 games, I think, or 8 games. I think that's right. Had an awful end to the season. 43 points they finished on. Where have you got Palace finishing this year? Of course, you said they were quite low down earlier on.
Yeah, this season I've got Palace finishing in 18th position and going down to the Championship.
Oh, wow.
I think this is the season where they go down. We mentioned earlier, I think of Palace, is it Ivan who mentioned the comments earlier? I think it was Ivan. He said that Crystal Palace, they need to sign a few more players to stay up, and I think they do. But as of right now, they've not signed anybody. I think they've brought in Nathan Ferguson from West Brom on a free transfer. But again, what impact is it going to make on the squad? We don't know that. But I think with Zaha being linked away, it would be a big loss for them. And we're wondering, can Jordan Ayew have another season like he had last season? It's yet to be known. But I think Palace now, I think it is their time to go down. I've got them finishing 18th. I think Roy Hodgson's luck has run out.
Oh, Gels has said Villa are going down and Arsenal will win the league with a dab emoji. I'm guessing you're an Arsenal fan, Gels. If you're not, if you're not, fair play to your opinion. Kobe's in the chat. He said, "Yo, how are you doing today, Kobe, my friend?" Yeah, if anybody disagrees with us, feel free to put what you think in the comments as well. We're going to try and answer everyone's if we can. But we already had a word about Palace, and I don't really want to speak about them much, so we will just move straight on to Everton. Of course, they had a very disappointing season as well. Of course, I think a lot of people, Chelsea's an Arsenal fan. I think a lot of people did expect Everton to try and push into that sort of Europa League, mold the best of the rest category, if you would. They finished 12th. I think they had, when Ancelotti took over, of course, they had that spike in form and they were looking like they were going to challenge for it. And then towards the end of the season, it kind of just fell off a little bit. But like you said, it would be good to see Ancelotti have a full season. What have you got Everton finish? Of course, your rivals, of course.
Yeah, I've got Everton having a good season, in my opinion. I've got them finishing 9th. Improved season, definitely. And I do agree, there were big expectations coming into last season for Everton. They obviously, Ancelotti got hired as new coach. A very well-known manager across Europe. He's managing big competitions in the Champions League, obviously managing Napoli. He's managed Real Madrid before, I believe. He's won the league with Chelsea. He's a big manager, and coming in, Everton fans expected a lot. They finished 12th, I believe. Is that what you said? Finished 12th last season?
They did finish 12th last season.
Yeah, so an underwhelming season for them. But I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a breakout season, which was fantastic to see. Richarlison did his thing still. And I think with Ancelotti being there, they've been linked with some players like Allen, for example. They've been linked with Sergio Reguilón, who played this season at Sevilla. I think those two will be fantastic signings for them. And think Everton this season, I think you'll just see more consistency with Ancelotti's second year. He's got a bit more of an imprint on the squad. He can bring his own players in. And I think DCL is just going to continue to get better, as Kieran likes to call him, England's number 9.
Yeah.
I think 9th will be a fantastic finish for Everton, albeit they are the second biggest club behind Liverpool in Liverpool.
And that's what Chris has said, 9th place for the most relevant club in Liverpool, of course. Yeah. When he says Kieran, he's not referring to me. He's referring to the other Kieran that's on Sports Corner channel. Ivan was talking about Martin Dubravka to Chelsea. Don't think that'll happen. I agree with you that if that happens, that would be a bad deal for Newcastle. Bargain, of course, for Chelsea. A few more comments. Higgs has said, I'd like to see Everton get a European place, but I can't see it happen. I think the only way Everton can get to Europe maybe is if they win a cup. Maybe the Carabao Cup if they want to put all their eggs in that basket.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I don't know what you think, but I think in the Prem now we've kind of got, we talk about the big 6. I think there's a top 8 teams I think that's kind of established over his last few seasons. Everton have obviously tried to push to get into that, but I think 9 for them is probably their ceiling. Unless if they overachieve, I think they can break into that top 8 and maybe get 7th or 6th. But I think 9 for them is where I think they finish next season.
Of course, they need to replace the likes of Leighton Baines, who's gone, who's a massive loss for them. They only have one actual fit left back now in Lucas Digne. Of course, you said they were linked with Reguilón. Bembo has said, just on Crystal Palace before, I don't think you were in the chat. To be honest, I agree. If we sell Zaha and only buy a 27-year-old from Poland that'll play one game and never play again, because we have a history of doing that. Gels has asked, who's winning the Community Shield? Of course, Will. You are in the Community Shield as Liverpool against Arsenal. Do you think you can beat them, or do you think it's going to be another one of those games? Because Arsenal did it to Man City, of course, a few years ago.
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to be a tough game. It's going to be the first game of the season. Everyone's going to be, the players aren't going to be up to full sharpness, and some players are going to be rusty. I do think we will end up winning. I don't want to jinx it, but I think it'll be a tough game just because I believe Arteta is a fantastic manager. I think in his second season, Arsenal are only going to improve. We might see this likes of Willian start. Gabriel, I know the day's not gone through yet, but he might end up starting in that game. Oh, I think we can win. Hopefully we do win. But I'm looking forward to it. I can't believe it's on Saturday. I can't believe how quickly the season's come around.
Absolutely crazy. Bernardo said Everton just drew 3-3 to Blackpool. Of course, they were 3-0 down in that friendly as well. And they played quite a decent team, but we will move on now. Chris Watcher said, actually, Klopp never won Community Shields, so he will want to win it. Good point. Yeah. So we'll move on to the first newly promoted side in Fulham. So what do you think of Fulham? Obviously, they won the playoffs against Brentford thanks to David Raya.
Yeah.
They didn't have the best season in terms of they weren't smashing it all season, but they did eventually go up via the playoffs. Of course, just one more thing. Gels has said, we'll be close, but I think Arsenal will push it to the end of a late win. Of course, you are an Arsenal fan. You will say that to the end of time.
Fair enough.
They said relegation again for Fulham. I think Jocelyn said Spurs relegated, no cap. Fulham then, Will, what do you think? What do you think for them this season?
Like you said, in the Championship last season, I thought Fulham were going to go up as champions last season in the Championship with the players they signed. Scott Parker obviously being the manager, and they were pretty underwhelming. And they did well to win the playoffs against an exciting Brentford team, but I think the experience shone through. And obviously Joe Bryan with 2 phenomenal goals. They've only brought in one player, and it's Anthony Robinson from Wigan, albeit 1.9 million, an absolute bargain for a player like him. He was due to go to AC Milan for 10 million, but obviously he had problems with his heart. So I think Fulham getting him in is an absolute bargain. But that's the only player they've brought in. And I think Fulham, I do agree with what someone put in the comments. I think Fulham go down this season after going finishing 19th.
Of course, it could happen. Ivan, you've put this in twice. Sorry for missing it the first time. Everton, if they keep Kenny, is good. They need a Coleman replacement. Digne had average season, so he'll do better in my opinion. DCL and Richarlison staying is keep, and Ad Walcott had a good latter into the season. They did have a good latter into the season. Welchie has said Fulham have got goals. It's elsewhere that worries them for them to need strength in the right areas. You did say that. By the way, if anybody is new to the channel, please do subscribe. We are on the road to 700 subscribers. Leave a like as well. Share. Do all that good stuff. Just want to get that out there now because we have quite a few people in here, quite a few people coming in, just in case we get lost in the charge. Josh has said West Brom Premier League winners go in and beat him with a big man Bilic in charge.
Well, West Brom will be coming up shortly, but I don't think they're going to win the Premier League. I'm being honest with you. I mean, Josh, we know Josh. He was a big fan of what's he called? He's just the players completely left my mind. The lad in the Champions League final for PSG, Stoke legend himself. Choupo-Moting. Obviously, Josh thought Choupo-Moting was going to get the winner for PSG. Didn't happen, unfortunately. But yeah, moving back onto go on.
Yeah, Ivan has said Zambo and Gita, they want 25 million today. Stupid, of course. They've got Jean-Michel Seri coming back, I think, as well, who was on loan at Galatasaray. I think. Spend money wisely, of course. That was their problem, wasn't it, when they first came up? Chris Watt just said, I'm going 16 for Fulham, and Josh has put a sad face for that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a tough season for Fulham, no matter what we say. Mitrovic, he was phenomenal last season in the Championship. I think he was the top scorer, but I think in the Prem he's shown that he can consistently score goals. He hasn't shown that yet, and unless he shows it this season, I can't see where Fulham stay up. To be honest, I think as we mentioned before the stream, Kieren, this Premier League season, it just seems like such a strong season. It seems like there's so many, better teams during at the lower end of the table. But I think Fulham, unless Mitrovic can score the goals for them, I think they're going down yet again.
Yeah, of course, we saw that the other season when they did come up, and they had a lot of good players, the likes of Schürrle and Mitrovic especially, but that didn't quite show up for them. Of course, Schürrle was phenomenal, but they didn't get relegated. Higster agrees with you, thinks 19th. Gels has said, I want to see Liverpool won't win the league, but I don't see any team pushing it other than City, which I also agree with you, mate. Bernardo said, I hope Fulham drop to see Mitrovic wallow. Welchie said, relegation tough to call for me. He's gone for 16 for Fulham. But we'll move on now, Will. After Fulham is Leeds. Now, they are the second newly promoted club. Of course, the Leeds fans will be absolutely bouncing off thinking they're going to win the league. Where are Leeds finishing this year?
Leeds United finishing, in my opinion, they're finishing 16th in the table and they will stay up. Reason for it is because, they've not signed anybody yet. I know they've brought in a young lad, Joe Gelder from Wigan, who was meant to be a good prospect. Elder Costa signed on a permanent deal. They've got Jack Harrison back on loan. So it's kind of a similar squad to what it was last season. But I think they'll stay up just because I believe in Bielsa. I think he's an absolutely fantastic manager. Tactically, he's one of the best footballers I've ever seen. I mean, even Pep Guardiola said that Marcelo Bielsa is a coach he looked up to and learned a lot from. And I think as long as Leeds have got him in charge, I personally can't see him going down. I think they'll do. I'm not going to say they're going to do similar to Sheffield United, because Sheffield United, I think, overachieved massive last season. Finishing 9th was a fantastic season for them. I think saying Leeds could have a same season as Sheffield United is a bit unfair. I do think they'll stay up. I can't see Leeds going down.
Now, personally, I think Leeds will go down this season. But it's based on what Ivan said. If they can buy a good striker and keep Ben White, which I don't think they're going to be able to sign Ben White now, looking like maybe 30 plus million for him, and Patrick Bamford just not good enough. We see it with a lot of teams that come up, especially that Fulham side a few years ago. They just didn't have the goals in them to stay up.
No.
The Norwich side last year, they were relying on Timu Pukki, and he just didn't show up at all. I think it may be a similar story with Leeds. Of course, they have got and the fact of being no fans at the start of the season. Of course, they are one of the best supported teams in the world. Without fans, in the Premier League, it is massive. In any league, it's massive to have fans behind you, of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of points for teams, like we saw it with Union Berlin in Bundesliga. A lot more points would have been won if they could have had fans there. A lot of people are saying mid-table for Leeds, 15th, 16th. Leeds been looking for a load of strikers, of course. They put bids in, I think, for Leon Bailey, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Odson Edouard was linked. Massive names.
They've even inquired about Origi, and they apparently want Bruce on loan as well.
Massive names.
So they are going for a striker. Patrick Bamford, he does fit the mould, though, that Bielsa likes. He's a high presser, he links the play up well. I do agree. I think if Leeds are looking to stay up, a new striker is needed. But, like I say, I think if they focus on just not conceding goals, if for any team that comes up, in my opinion, you need to look at the back four and think, right, we need to be solid. We can't concede silly goals. We need to keep it strong and win the battles that we can win. And I think the goals will come. I think Jack Harrison's a great deal to get him back on loan for them, because he created a lot of chances for them last season. Alioski, although I personally don't like him as a person, he did create a lot of chances from that left back area. Helder Costa, it's a good signing, but can he do it in the Premier League? I don't think we saw him do it in the Premier League with Wolves. Maybe he can do it with Leeds. And Calvin Phillips as well, one of the better midfielders in the Championship, one of the better young English players, one of the better young English midfielders. I'm interested to see how he does. But yeah, overall, I think Leeds, I think they will stay up. And especially if they can get one of the players they've been linked with, like you said, Odsonne Edouard. If they could get him, what an incredible signing that would be. But yeah, I think Leeds will stay up this season. It's not like saying it. I'm from Leeds. I'm not a Leeds fan. It's bad. We should all be Leeds fans, really, me and you, Kieren, but that's not how it works. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I can't see him going down this season, unfortunately.
I think you made a very good point there about the fact that if a team comes up, they need a solid back four, and I think we saw that from game one with Norwich, even though I know they played you, but you absolutely smashed them because the back four was just so poor, and it happened all season. The amount of goals they conceded because they lost 5-1 to the likes of Norwich, to the likes of Villa, and of course that was their main problem all year. And the fact that they didn't score enough goals could be a similar problem with Leeds, but I think they're a little more defensively sound than Norwich. But we will move on now. Ivan has said, if you don't put Newcastle below 16th, you're deluded. We are going down like that. Like, can't even get Jeff Hendrick on a free actually out.
Yeah, you'll have to wait and see where Newcastle are. I'll spoil it for you, Ivan. You're not going down. It's too much quality in your squad to go down, I'm afraid. But you'll have to wait and see where I've put you.
So next up, we've got Leicester, of course. They will be in the Europa League next season. They finished 5th, missing out on last day, of course, because of that loss to Manchester United. Jesse Lingard, Jay Lings, all that sort of good stuff. Leicester, 62 points they finished on. Will, of course, they had a fantastic season. A little bit disappointing towards the end. After the lockdown, they absolutely capitulated. I think they won one game out of their 8 or 9 games that they had left. Of course, looking like they were going to be sound for that Champions League position. Where have you got them finishing this year?
I think Leicester fans are going to be disappointed with this. I've got them finishing 8th this season. I'm expecting a bit of a drop-off from Leicester this season. They've not brought anybody in yet, which is a concern for me because obviously they've got Europa League football next season, playing in Europe, playing the cup competitions. If you want to compete in all the competitions, you need a bigger squad, and Leicester have not made their squad bigger. Obviously, when you look at Leicester's starting 11, it's a fantastic starting 11, but there's links of Chilwell leaving, which will be a massive loss from that left back. Obviously, I think Soyuncu, you could say, had a brilliant start to the season, but he tailed off towards the end of it. Johnny Evans is getting a bit older, albeit had a fantastic season, but can he do it again? And I think it's all dependent on Jamie Vardy. Eventually Jamie Vardy is going to slow down. It's just when is he going to slow down? If he can score another 20 plus goals for next season, I think they could finish higher than 8th. But yeah, Leicester, I've got them finishing 8th this season. I think with them being in Europe, it's going to affect their league form because I don't think the squad enough is big enough to rotate and compete in both competitions.
I think we saw it a little bit with Wolves at the start of the season because they started off their season by drawing a lot of their games. Maybe they just didn't have that final push, of course, because they were playing in Europe every other Thursday. A lot of people agreeing with you that Leicester will finish in 8th, that Europa League will be a big distraction. Of course, when Wolves got to the group stage, it didn't seem like quite a big distraction. I know Man United, of course, we've got the European pedigree. A lot of our players have played in Europe before, and that's why a lot of our players are more used to it, I think. But these Leicester players, I don't think a lot of them have ever played in Europe before. The likes of Harvey Barnes and Ayoze Perez, those type of players, they deserve to play in Europe because they're fantastic footballers. Jamie Vardy deserves to play in Europe. We saw him in the Champions League the other year. Jamie Vardy did quite well. I'm interested to see if he can repeat that form. Like you said, it does all depend on if Jamie Vardy can back in another 20 goals. I think it's very similar to how Southampton will be this season with like Danny Ings. Yeah,
I completely agree. It's just the Leicester team, it was very exciting last season, but it tailed off, and I think that was just due to inexperience. And obviously, Brendan Rodgers being manager, he had a good season as manager. I thought as Leicester manager, but me being a Liverpool fan, I've known from previous experience. Brendan Rodgers' teams, they just seem to tail off towards the end of the season. They seem to lose focus. But yeah, I just can't see Leicester finishing 5th like they did last season while they're also in the Europa League. I mean, let's be honest. Leicester they should have got Champions League football. They started the season fantastically. They were second for a long time behind Liverpool ahead of Man City, and they just completely blew it. And I just believe that came out of squad depth and just experience, which they will earn throughout the season. But I can't see Leicester again competing for top 4 like they did last season. I don't think.
I think the fact that we finished above them is absolutely criminal because I'm pretty sure at one point we were over 15 points behind them.
Yeah,
and the fact that we finished above them is
exactly
is what you say. Like they run off towards the end. But we'll move on now to your team, Liverpool, of course.
Right.
I imagine I know where these are going already. Are they going top? Are they winning it again?
But I've got to go with it. Liverpool, I think they'll repeat and win the league again next season. Man City, obviously, many people could say Man City are going to win the league, which it's hard to go against. Their squad is unbelievable. They've already signed 2 players, to add. They've signed another defender who might be, he might be a bench warmer next season. They've signed Ferran Torres as well. But we'll get to City in a bit. Liverpool, I think, will win the league again this season. And it's just the main factor is if we stay healthy, I think we'll definitely win it again. Obviously, the Costa Simica signing at left back was a fantastic signing for us. More depth at the left back position. We've been linked with Thiago so much. Inside me, saying it's not going to happen because other reports come out of Germany saying he's definitely joining. He's already picked an house in Liverpool. He's already told his goodbyes to his Bayern teammates. But there's been no English journalists so far to confirm it. There's been no Liverpool journalists to confirm it. So we'll have to see how that works out. But yeah, I think we'll win the league in this season. I think, in my opinion, we've got the best goalkeeper in the league. The back 4 is solid. They all know their roles. The midfield again, they know their roles. This team, the Liverpool team now, it's just so used to winning. It's just so mentally strong. Klopp's not going to let them lay down and say right. Because I think many people are saying Liverpool won the league last season. They're going to tail off and think, well, we've got the lead now. We can run it a bit easier. But yeah, I think with the way you look at it, I think we can win the league next season. Definitely, the front 3 are going to be firing like always. The gap will be closed, like Chris said. The gap will definitely be closed between us and City. But I believe in us. I believe we can win the league again. I believe this is our best squad in years. So there's no reason why we can't win it again. I think we'll do better in the Champions League and as well. But yeah, Premier League this season, I'm going with Liverpool yet again. People might think I'm being biased, but I still think we've got the best starting 11 in the league.
I could not agree with you, in any more, because I think a lot of people are forgetting that your team only lost 1 game last season, 2 games, last season.
Well,
3 games, 3 games. It was 3.
3 games, yeah.
I think but it were over when you lost those 2 games. So I'm saying, I think people forget that you lost 1 game last season because I think you'd have beaten Arsenal and City if the games were, if you need to be competitive. Of course, your players were probably on the lash. Not Manny and Salah and the other people of those ethnicities. But I think people are forgetting that you only lost 1 game all season, of course, and the fact that I don't care who you sign for Manchester City, they are just pro bottlers. We saw it in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We saw it in the league this season when they needed to win. They just couldn't get over the line. And of course, I don't think Ferran Torres or Nathan Ake are those signings that will get you over the line. Of course, Ferran Torres is still young at 21, and Nathan Ake was a very, very decent centre half in a very, very poor Bournemouth side.
In a team that relegated.
I don't think he was anything special this season. I would have loved to have him at Man United, of course, because he's a good centre back on his day. But this season and maybe last season, he wasn't at his best. But that's the reason I think Liverpool will do it again, because your team, if you if you can keep them fit, I cannot see any other team beating you or pipping you to the league. And like Welchie said, Liverpool have got leaders, City haven't. Put it down to that. Ferran Torres and Nathan Ake are not leaders at all. Koulibaly is the leader.
But we'll have to wait and see if they sign him, yeah.
They've lost one of their main leaders in David Silva. It's said Foden's time to step up. Now Silva has gone. It could be.
Definitely his time to step up now. I mean, we all know that Pep loves Foden, but the David Silva, he's left and everything, but that can't be looked fast because David Silva, even though his last season, it was his last season, he was still super effective, one of the main players in the team. And just going back to what Chris said about the leaders in the team, I completely agree. You look at Liverpool's starting lineup, just how many national captains are in that team, people forget. Sadio Mane is the captain of Senegal, Mo Salah is the captain of Egypt, Van Dijk's the captain of Netherlands, Robertson's the captain of Scotland, Alisson's the starting goalkeeper for Brazil. Jordan Henderson's the captain, he's the leader of the team, but like you said, there's so many leaders in that team, so many players that hold themselves in high standards. Again, if we can stay healthy, because I do think we need to make some signings this season. We do need to make the squad depth a bit better, have a bit of better backups than we had last season, because if someone does go down, it could hamper us a lot. But I do agree. If we stay fit, I can't see any team coming close to us. I really can't.
Ivan said, I have a feeling Mane's going to have a stinker of a season. Don't know why. I can't see it personally because I think Sadio Mane is a big game player, and he never seems to play bad for me. I don't think I've ever watched him and thought he's not played bad. He might have had a mediocre game, but he'll still grab that important goal, like you said. He's got a lot of important goals this season.
Yeah, definitely. And Chris has put in the chat as well. We need another forward to cover Sadio Mane. Completely agree there. Origi, he's a cult hero for what he did in the Champions League, but for a team like Liverpool, who they're going for the league again, they're going for the Champions League again. You don't really want Origi as that main backup behind the strikers. Obviously, we've been linked with Ismail Assar, which I think would be another good signing. We've been linked with players like Ozan Kabak to reinforce centre back positions, and Ben White's even been linked with us as well. But for us, it's just more, if we do sign any players, it's just depth, because I think the starting 11 is the best starting 11 you could look at in the Premier League, maybe even in world football, up there with teams like Bayern Munich who just won the Champions League. And I don't think I'm going too far by saying that, because we literally dominated. People forget. I feel like people forget Liverpool had 99 points last season and just completely obliterated the league.
I think that's what people are forgetting, that the fact that you lost one game before you actually won the league.
Yeah, exactly. We'll move on anyway, because we've been talking about him for a long time.
Welch said, can't beat Sarr, then sign him.
Exactly. He's the only player that they're down as last season for Watford, so why not bring him in?
The Shark last season. But we'll move on. We've had a little bit of a word on Man City. I'll just ask you straight away, where are Man City going?
Second. I think Man City finished second, same as last season. Obviously, we've mentioned they've brought in Ferran Torres, they've brought in Nathan Ake, they've even brought Scott Carson back on loan from Derby County.
Of course, how can I forget about that? I apologise after I forgot about
that. But they've lost, David Silva. They've even lost Leroy Sané. I know he missed all last season with his ACL injury, but that is a massive loss, because when City won the league and got 100, just 1 point ahead of us, not last season, the season before that, Leroy Sané was absolutely incredible for that Manchester City side. It was either last season or the season before. He was incredible. I know you're a big fan of Leroy Sané, so just bringing, losing him is a massive loss for Manchester City. And one of their wingers go down. Are you going to bring in Ferran Torres? You're going to throw him in straight away. He needs to adapt to the league still. But yeah, let's not get past it. Man City are a fantastic team, but I do agree with you. I think when it comes to winning those big games, there's just not the leaders just aren't there. And Pep Guardiola, I think Klopp has got Pep Guardiola's number. I can't see Manchester City doing the double of Liverpool next season. Maybe they might beat us one time at the Etihad, but yeah, second place Man City is fair enough. But I think Chelsea and Man United, for example, who we'll get onto in a bit, will run them closer this season.
Yeah, I think, of course, I absolutely love Leroy Sané, and he was incredible during that season that they won the league. And it was just the amount of times that he would put balls just across the face of goal, and Raheem Sterling would tap him in. That's where maybe 10 or 12 of Raheem Sterling's goals come from that season in all competitions. Of course, he's a massive miss for them. Ferran Torres is not the same type of player for them. I don't actually know where Ferran Torres' best position is, because he can play behind the striker or on the two wings. It's good to have versatility in your side, but I think Leroy Sané offered a lot more coming off the left side. Of course, we've seen Riyad Mahrez kind of come out of his shell a little bit this season, play to his best, because he's actually probably City's best actual out and out winger. I'm not talking Raheem Sterling, of course, because he is a winger, but he likes to cut inside a little bit. But Riyad Mahrez, of course, is a fantastic player. I think they need to utilise him a little bit more, because they always seem to start either Sterling, or he likes to play Phil Foden a lot on the right wing, which of course is not his best preferred position. Of course, I know. Of course, no. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's fantastic because he played well against Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup on the right hand side." But I think a lot of teams can really get at City next season, because they've not really strengthened those fullback areas.
No,
they were making a lot of mistakes, like João Cancelo, and Kyle Walker had a very, very poor season last season.
I agree. I think the defence can definitely be got at, like you saw last season. They don't look very confident, and I think Welch put in the comments quite a while back. He put that losing Vincent Kompany, people just didn't, they didn't take into account how much of a big loss that could have been. And we saw last season how big of a loss it was, because there were no leaders at the back. I think they were playing Fernandinho at centre back at one point in the season. I think he preferred Fernandinho over John Stones to play centre back at one point in the season. So that just shows you how weak that City defence really is. And if a team puts pressure on them, they can fold, because there are just no leaders at the back there.
I mean, we saw it, didn't we, that game against Southampton, of course. Even the game at Old Trafford when McTominay scored in the last minute, when Edison just absolutely capitulated all game. There's a lot of times where the defensive mistakes cost them. And I'm thinking of the Lyon game in the Champions League as well, just last week. The defensive errors in those games cost them the 3 goals, and they need to sound those out, because of course that season that they won the league, defensively they were phenomenal. If they can sound those out, they probably will close the gap a little bit. I don't think it will be as big of a gap, but we have talked about Man City quite well. We'll move on to my team now, and I'm interested to see where you got them. I think I kind of know where you're going to put them. But Man United, of course, we've signed fuck all. We've done fuck all, and we're probably going to do fuck all. So where have you got Man United finishing this season?
I've got Man United finishing 4th this season. I still think you'll finish in the
Exactly
top
where I
4.
thought you were going to put us.
Yeah. The reason I've got you finishing behind Chelsea is because, like you said, I just thought you've not been strengthened the squad. You've not signed any players yet, and I think Man United had a very good season. Very similar to other teams. When you look at that first starting 11 at Manchester United, it's fantastic. But if someone got injured up front, who's coming in? Dan James, is he coming in? Like,
Exactly.
I don't know what your opinions of Dan James are, but I think he's got a lot of pace, but that end product is just not there. Like I say, I think they'll have a very good season, finishing 4th. I think you'll compete in the Champions League next season, although you might think you won't. I think you will. It's the situation going on. Harry Maguire is not very good, obviously, but who knows what's going to happen with that? It's not for me to comment on. But Wan-Bissaka was a brilliant signing for you. Harry Maguire was a brilliant signing for you. What are your thoughts? I'm going to ask you a question. What are your thoughts on Dean Henderson coming back? Do you think he could push De Gea to be the starting keeper?
Oh, but now I just asked that exact same question. Now, I think that Dean Henderson is a fantastic goalkeeper, but I just think David De Gea is well, he's probably not now, but he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Like, probably not this season or last season. He has been error prone, but like, for me, I will always say that David De Gea stuck by us in our tough times. We've got to stick by him in his tough time now, because the amount of times he was player of the season for 3 years in a row. And there's no disrespect to Dean Henderson, but I think David De Gea is a better goalkeeper, of course. Dean Henderson, maybe in a few years' time, will be better than David De Gea, of course. Maybe he does need another loan spell, but as a Manchester United fan, I think that David De Gea deserves the number 1, of course. A lot of people will disagree with me. As you say, you got Higgs to disagree with me there. But for me, it's not necessarily the goalkeeper that is the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem is left back, because we've seen this season, if Luke Shaw gets injured, we are absolutely fucked. Luke Shaw was excellent after lockdown, and he was our best player by absolute miles. He is such a key player going forward, mainly because Brandon Williams is a right footer playing at left back, and you can't have that because he's absolutely wank on his left foot. I like Brandon Williams. Like, I really like Brandon Williams, but I just don't think he's ready to be the starting left back yet. Luke Shaw, of course, a lot of fans criticise him because he looks a little bit overweight, and of course his work ethic and his body language is not all there. But you've seen this season, he's played really well. He's just injury prone. That's the only problem.
That is the problem. Like you said, most seasons Luke Shaw is probably going to pick up a knock. He's probably going to miss some games here and then, and someone else is going to have to come in at left back. Hicks has put in the chat. Taylor would be perfect. I think it will be perfect because he's a very experienced left back. It's just I can't see Man United bringing someone like that in. I think the one player that'll be good for Man United is Jamal Lewis, who's linked with Liverpool, but obviously Norwich wanted 20 million for him. Liverpool were never going to play £20 million player for a left back that we knew was going to be back up. And I think with Norwich going down, I think he could be easily acquired for Manchester United. The Sancho deal, it's not looking like it's going to go through, unfortunately. It would have been fantastic for you because Sancho's a brilliant player, and your attacking lineup would have been absolutely incredible. But it's a tough one, Man United, because I would like to put them 3rd, but they've not brought anybody in compared to Chelsea, so I can't put them over Chelsea if that makes sense. But I still think they'll get top 4 because I still think you're better than teams like Spurs, Arsenal, Leicester, and teams like that.
No, I think I agree with you. I think that I'll just give my final opinion, then we'll move on to Newcastle. Just answer a few of the comments as well. Chris Welch just said thoughts on Brooks linked to United. No, I like this deal. I like David Brooks because obviously the only problem really is that he's injured last season, but other than that, he's a really good player. Of course, that season that he broke through at Bournemouth, he was really good, and Bournemouth finished quite high at the table. He was the main thing for that, because I think he got like 9 goals, 7 assists or something, which is really good for a mid-table player. The Sancho thing, I don't know what to say on it, because it's just Man United. It just happens all the time. We get that close to signing him, and then something will break it off. I can't say yeah or no if we're going to sign him. Like I said, just pay the money for Sancho. I mean, we do need him. Ivan said, I like Greenwood at right wing. He's getting better game by game. Can't wait to see him next season. I agree with you, mate. He is the best youngster in the Premier League. Don't care what City or Arsenal fans have to say. Greenwood is a level above everybody in terms of youngsters in the league. But for me, I think I agree with you, Will. 4th is probably fair, if not even a little bit lower, if Martial and Rashford don't have the same type of seasons that they had this season, because those two are fantastic, of course.
Oh, definitely. I know you're a massive fan of Tony Martial. This season, I come into this season with my doubts about him, but I think at the end of it, he had a fantastic season, a really good season, played really well for you.
Yeah, of course, top goal scorer and joint highest assister in our team.
Exactly. And I think the development of Greenwood, he's only going to get better. And what a talent Mason Greenwood looks like he could be. I mean, the fact that he doesn't even know what his strongest foot is himself just shows how good he is, because he's awesome with his left foot, he's awesome with his right foot, and he's just such a clinical finisher for his age. Like, I know you've mentioned it before, but he looks like he's RVP reborn.
Yeah, and of course, next we've got Newcastle. And Ivan, I know you'll be loving this one. You have put some comments and you've put, can't wait for Paul Dummett being our top scorer with 3 goals. Joelinton missing open goals. Only positive is Miggy, Maxi, Dubravka and Hayden can stay. Happy that Longstaff signed a new deal. I'd happily to have Brandon Williams on loan at Newcastle. I think we need the type of player, and you need to get him experience. I think the only problem with that is that we haven't got actually another left back to cover. So I would love to send Brandon Williams out on loan, but we can't at the moment. So Newcastle, where are they coming this year?
I've got Newcastle finishing 13th this season, so kind of that mid-table place, similar to where they were last season. It's a tough one with Newcastle, because I know the fans want Mike Ashley out. They want someone else new in the club that's going to bring new ideas and just freshen the squad a bit and spend some money. But for what Steve Bruce had to work with last season, I think he did a pretty good job. Joelinton, we all know how terrible he was. 2 goals, was it? Did he have all last season? 2 goals?
I think 3. Ivan is disagreeing. He's putting, we're going down. Nah, no way. I wish. So he's.
I mean, you've got to have confidence in your own team, Ivan. I think Joelinton, there's no doubt he's going to have a much better season than he did last season. No way is he just going to score 3 goals next season. He's going to score more. Miggy Almiron was a positive sign for you. I mean, St. Maximum is a fantastic player. St. Maximum is a player I would like at Liverpool. I think that's how highly I think of him.
Do you remember when we did the tier list, we said that if he had better people in the middle to nod the balls in, of course, Joelinton needs to get a little bit more consistent at that. St. Maxim would have more assists, because he got quite a few last year. But his end product is fantastic for someone who's so quick. Yeah,
exactly. And he's always going to create chances. I mean, even Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles at the back, that's a good centre-back tandem, if you ask me. And Mind Dubravka was one of the better goalkeepers in the league last year. I just can't see with this team that Newcastle have. I know they've not signed anybody, but the team that Newcastle have, I can't see them going down with the players they've got. I just can't see it.
They've just got too good a team, I think. A lot of Newcastle fans are obviously a little bit disappointed that the takeover's not happened. Of course, they've been blue-balled on that twice now. Chris, he's hit the nail on the head here, is Chris. Newcastle solid defensively, but no goal scorers in the team. Newcastle been linked to Chris Smalling as well. You know what? You can fucking have him. Federico Fernandez is class, apparently, according to Ivan. Now, I'm not going to agree with you there, Ivan, because if I ask my good friend Josh Caswell, don't think he'll agree with you.
Yeah, Federico Fernandez. He's been around the block, hasn't he? He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Newcastle fans, they want to aspire to get into the top half. I mean, even the top half of the Premier League season is where they want to be. But Mike Ashley, we know what he's about. He's not going to spend, unfortunately, for years. But he kind of stuck in that middle section where I can't see you going down, but I can't see you pushing any further into the top half. Just because you've got those players that are good, but they're not going to push into that top half. So I think another mid-table season, he's just bound to happen for Newcastle United. So that's why I've got him finishing 13th.
I think we need to see a little bit of progression with Newcastle. But Josh is in the building. He said he's fantastic. Best Argentinian since Zanetti, of course. Just for a little bit of context, by the way, Ivan, if you don't understand, Josh is the manager of Newcastle on our online Football Manager save. Just for a bit of context, I'm the manager of Crystal Palace. Will is managing West Ham. Rowan is managing Southampton. And Kieran's managing Watford. We went for similar sort of teams in the league, so we could have the fairest run-in so far. And Federico Fernandez is Josh's captain, and he's top goal scorer with 19 goals in 38 games. Of course, I'm only kidding. Well, we'll move on now, Will, to last 6 teams. We're on the home straight. Southampton, of course, had a fantastic season. Towards the end of the season, had a better season. Danny Ings, absolutely fantastic all season. I think after the 9-0 drubbing, everyone, especially me included, I thought there is no way Ralph Hasenhüttl can stay in a job after getting dicked 9-0. Where are they finishing this season?
So I've got Southampton having a good season. I've got them finishing 10th. Like you said, after that 9-0 loss to Leicester, it looked like Hasenhüttl's time with Southampton was up. They looked all over the place, but since then they improved so much. Danny Ings stayed healthy and got the goal, which, by the way, as a Liverpool fan, I'm so happy to see that he's doing well. I was always rooting for him to be good at Liverpool, but he just couldn't seem to stay fit. But now he's stayed fit, and he's getting a good run of games. He's showing what he can do. For Southampton, last season, where did they finish? We're 11th for Southampton. They had a really good finish to the season, I believe.
Pardon? What did you say?
I was just going to say, where is it 11th last season for Southampton?
It was 11th, you're right.
Yeah. So I think they're a stronger into the season. They've brought in Kyle Walker-Peters on a permanent deal for Tottenham, which he's gone in the other direction with Højbjerg, who's got to Tottenham. Højbjerg will be a loss in him for the midfield, but again, he's a player who can be easily replaced because he doesn't bring any unbelievable qualities, in my opinion. So I think Kyle Walker-Peters is a great signing at the right back position. Mohamed Salisu from Real Valladolid, what a signing that is. A centre back for them. Solidifying that defence even more. But yeah, this season I can see Southampton doing really well. I think Hasenhüttl's a fantastic manager, and Danny Ings, if he can keep his form, 10th position is where I think they'll finish.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Southampton is Danny Ings again. I think we touched on it a little bit with Jamie Vardy. It needs to be a similar sort of thing to that. Imagine Ings was this is what Watch said. Imagine Ings was fit at Liverpool. What cover he would be for front three alongside Origi. Exactly. Benbo has said, get your predictions of how many managers will be sacked this season and who are they? That's also a good topic. Might do that next week. Spurs 4th to stick. That's what Bernardo said. Welchie said, good to see Ings doing well, like you said. Hopefully Che Adams has a good season, of course. He had a very good season towards the end of the season. But you've got Southampton finishing 10th. I think it's respectable for them. It is a step forward and maybe a step in the right direction because they'll obviously... A lot of teams this season, I think you've got Everton, Southampton, possibly Newcastle. They want to see the team push towards that Europa League space. I think West Ham's another one as well, but we'll touch on them next. So if we're doing it in alphabetical order... just 1 second. Ivan has put Bruce conceded 18 goals more than Rafa. He's got 22 less. We had least shots, percentage in opposition half. Also least possession per 90 per game. Most shots faced wide. Dubravka had more saves. Yeah, and you still finished quite high at the table. I think I think a lot of people discredited Steve Bruce, but I think he did a decent job last season.
I agree. I completely agree.
Right, so we'll move on to Sheffield United. Of course, they had disappointing end to the season, of course. They tailed off a bit like everyone thought they would. Yeah. Looking like they could have maybe got Champions League or Europa League. They finished without it, unfortunately for them. Missing out by 2 points behind Arsenal. Finishing 9th with 54 points. Interested to see where you've got Sheffield United finishing this season.
I've got Sheffield United finishing 11th this season. I think they'll have a good season for their side. I don't think they'll be pushing as high as they were at the start of last season. It was looking like for a time they were going to maybe get Champions League football. But they finished 9th. Like you said, they tailed off towards the end of the season. But I think they'll still finish 11th. Still a respectable position. What a job Chris Wilder did with that team last season. How many predictions where people would have had Sheffield United going down? There would have been absolutely loads of them. But I think Sheffield United stay up. I think they've got a philosophy that they like to play with. Obviously, he's the only manager I've ever seen use overlapping fullbacks. Chris Wilder. It was incredible. It was an interesting strategy, but it worked for them. And I think with McBurney up front and Lys Mousset up front, I think they're going to get enough goals to stay in that mid-table position. Could they improve at those positions? Yeah, of course they could. But for a team like Sheffield United, not got the biggest budget, I think they did well to get both of those strikers in. Obviously, they've lost Dean Henderson, which is a big loss for them, but they've replaced him with Aaron Ramsdale from Bournemouth, which, I believe it or not, I think Sheffield United actually had Aaron Ramsdale about 3 years ago, sold him to Bournemouth, and now they've rebought him again. So I bet he's happy to be back in the Premier League, leaving obviously relegated Bournemouth. But yeah, I think with the philosophy that Sheffield United have, they know how they play. They don't concede a lot of goals. One of the better defensive teams in the league, and I think they'll score enough goals to win enough games to get an 11th place finish.
I think Higgs has made a good point. Ollie McBurney needs to repay that transfer fee with some goals. Mousset and Sharp and McBurney are all just not good enough. I think Lys Mousset is good enough. I think he proved it last season quite a bit. Welchie said, Wilder for England manager, please. Buddy love Wilder. No nonsense manager, talks a lot of sense. Benbo's talking about Ainsley and Niles better than Wan-Bissaka and Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course. To Wolves. Ivan said Ramsdale's quality. Benbo, Newcastle are two you wouldn't mind it. Talking about AMN there. By the way, a lot that joke was based off Arsenal fans who say that Maitland-Niles is the best English right back in the world, in the league, of course. Me and we'll always joke about that quite a lot. But Sheffield United have got to finish in 11th. I think I'll agree with you. We could possibly see him dip a little bit lower, maybe possibly get relegated. We'll see what it is. It's going to be one of those weird seasons for Sheffield United because they could finish 11th, like you say, but they could come down a little bit. Higgs has said Berger has had time to settle in now. He could have a good season as well. Now, I don't know if it's Sander Berger or Sander Berge. I'm not going to lie. The commentators call him Berger. It sounds like his name's Berge. We'll just go with Burke for now. But we'll move on. Bernardo, I know you'll be absolutely loving this one. Tottenham, where are they coming this season? Of course, Jose Mourinho.
Tottenham have got to finish in 7th. It's not great, but I'm going to explain why. I think it all boils down to Jose Mourinho. I've got to be honest. I like the guy. I think he has been a great manager, but I think he's washed. I think his tactics are old, and I just don't see his football being inspiring. Obviously, they've signed Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Southampton, like we just mentioned, so a bit more depth in the midfield. But that's because people like Ndombele have been linked away with a move, which for me makes absolutely no sense in the world. I know he had a bit of a tough first season, but when you look at his potential, what the player he could be a fantastic player. But it seems like Mourinho's fallen out with him straight away for some reason, which I don't know why. It's Harry Kane. Can he stay fit or not? I don't think he can. He always seems to get an ankle injury at least once every season, missed time. Then it hampers Tottenham a lot because they just can't seem to get any goals from anywhere. Jan Vertonghen's gone, I believe, to Benfica, so that's a big loss. It's more. The experience in the dressing room is gone with him. They saw Kyle Walker-Peters, which, to be honest, makes absolutely no sense to me because you've got Aurier right back, and who else have you got? For me, they're just a very average team, Tottenham, and the team's been picked apart year on year. Since they finished second in the league behind Leicester, the team's just been picked apart over and over. And I think Arsenal fans will be loving it because their trophy will be we finished with Tottenham.
Like what you said.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, 7th, I think is fair for Tottenham because I just don't see it as a team under Mourinho. They're not inspiring, and the team it's not as good as it was last season, in my opinion.
No, I think that they get carried a lot by the likes of Son and Harry Kane. Of course, if they don't have a good season, then Tottenham don't have a good season. But I've got a few comments in Harry Kane has to stay fit, but they need new fullbacks and replacement for Vertonghen, which is absolutely true. Ivan said Davinson Sanchez is so poor, and Iggs has made a bold claim that Mourinho won't last the season, which is it's a good possibility because we saw Pochettino get sacked towards December. Yeah,
and to be honest, the Pochettino sacking was a surprise to many because of what he's done for Tottenham, but he was on a terrible run of form at that point. But I do agree, if Mourinho starts season poorly and Tottenham, let's say, 10 games in, are looking like 9th, 10th position, I think Mourinho definitely could be gotten rid of.
Yeah, it's a massive season for Tottenham, of course. It's Mourinho's first full season. They are in the Europa League, of course, celebrating like they won the bloody Champions League. I've just noticed that the question's still on the bottom of the screen: who will win the Premier League Golden Boot this season? Of course, if you want to have a go, if you want to have a chat about that, why the bloody hell not? I don't know why I've left it on the screen. Yeah. Complete accident. But we'll move on to West Brom, the final newly promoted team, of course, finishing second in the league, just pipped to the title by Leeds. Interesting. I think I know where you're going to have them this season, but where are they finishing?
Yeah, I've got West Brom finishing bottom at league. Simple as that, really. When you look at the squad on paper, it's a very good Championship side, but Premier League, not good enough for me. Not going to cut it. Obviously, they've brought in Matheus Pereira, who's fantastic for him last season. He signed on a permanent basis. But other than that, they've not brought anybody else in. It's a tough one for me. Obviously, the back line, they've got Sami Ajayi, who's a good young centre back. But this West Brom team, in my opinion, it's just not good enough to compete in the Premier League. And I know I've mentioned it a few times now, but this Premier League season, it's looking like it's going to be one of the hardest to predict just because there's so many strong teams in it. But West Brom, I can see them going down, unfortunately. I know West Brom fans won't like it, but that's just where I can see him. I just don't know where they're going to get goals from. Charlie Austin, is he a Premier League quality striker anymore? I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure.
Of course, they dropped Charlie Austin towards the end of the season, weren't even playing him. I think I agree with you. 20th is fair. A lot of people agree, and Welchie said relegation West Brom not good enough players for the Premier League for me. Higgs has said they'll finish bottom. Don't see Bilic lasting the season either, and Ronaldo just on Spurs. Fuck it, if we sack Mourinho, we'll take Eddie Howe. I think that'll be a good deal for Tottenham. But I think I agree with you. West Brom coming 20th. Not really much else we can say about that. The bottom three, so Palace, Fulham, and West Brom, getting relegated. Of course, you've got two teams left. We will pick the team that you're managing on Football Manager. Will West Ham, of course. You've got on 5th or 6th or something at the moment, smashing it after 16 games. West Ham finished 16th this season, 39 points. Where are they finishing this season?
I think West Ham will finish 12th this season. I think we'll see an improvement. It's always tough on West Ham because when you look at their team on paper, they've got some quality players, and it just seems to be always in that relegation scrap. But next season, I think they'll push on definitely. I think Sepp Haller, he'll definitely improve. A full season in the Premier League will do him good. Very similar to Joelinton, he disappointed for the transfer fee that he carried. I think he'll definitely get better. Then we'll see the likes of Jarrod Bowen. I know Kieran's obviously a massive fan of Jarrod Bowen. Kieren all that is the whole City fan. I think we'll definitely see improvement from him. I think he's a quality player. Felipe Anderson, he'll definitely come back much sharper. I think last season he was. Did he even have what did he have, like 2 goals, 2 assists, something like that? He had a really poor season. He'll definitely improve. I can't see him having another bad season. Yeah, I think West Ham on paper they look really good. I think they'll definitely improve, and Declan Rice only going to keep getting better in that midfield. 12th position I think is fair for West Ham United. I can't see him, surely not again. I can't see him in that relegation battle again.
I think a lot of people are agreeing with you. Ivan said Gareth Bowen, of course. Felipe Anderson can't have a season like he did last season. Welch, you said 10 for West Ham, my favourite team. I love to predict challenging top 7, but never do, always underachieving. I think that is the epitome for West Ham, of course. They have got David Moyes. I think they do need to probably change manager. Their team is very good. Like if they can sign the likes of Thomas Souček, he's a massive one because he was excellent towards the end of the season, especially in that game against Chelsea.
Yeah, I was going to say I completely forgot about him, but they have signed him on a permanent basis. He was, like you say, he brought a new spark into that midfield and scored a couple of late goals in the season for them, crucial. I think it's a fantastic signing for what, £10 million they paid for him, I think.
Yeah, an absolute bargain for him. But we'll move on to the final team, and there's only one place I can go, which is 6th position. So I'm guaranteed that Wolves are finishing 6th here. Will are they finishing 6th?
They're finishing 5th because I've got Arsenal 6th.
That's what I meant. Not letting them move it. There we go. Fifth place for Wolves. So it's going to be a good season for Wolves then. Yeah,
I reckon Wolves will have a really good season. They're not actually in Europe this season, which is a shame for them. Even though they did finish 7th ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal obviously won the FA Cup, so they take that Europa League place off them. Yeah, I think Wolves have a really good season this year. What a manager Nuno is, a fantastic manager. Raul Jimenez, one of the better strikers in the league, and the player I think is going to be catalyst to this is Adama Traore. We saw his emergence last season. Sort of mid-season, he started, showing what he really can do. If he can have another season or even improve even more, I think Wolves could be a really tough team to beat. Could be pushing for that top 4 position. And they've still got quality players like Jota. Still got Neves in the midfield, and their back line is really good as well. They've still got Roman Saiz and obviously captain Conor Cody and Doherty and Johnny, 2 of the most underrated left back and right back in the league. And Rupert Trujillo, they've got a safe hands in net. So I think Wolves, next season with no distraction for the Europa League. I think they finished 5th, and like Chris Welch just put, they could easily push for Champions League places next season, in my opinion.
I think as well for Wolves, people forget that before the last 2 games of the season, they were well in for 3rd and 4th place. But they tailed off towards the end of the season, of course, getting beat by Chelsea in the final day. But they were well in for it, and I think I also agree with you there that Wolves will probably finish inside those Europa League spots. They have got a very, very good side, and I think they are very underrated. That they are a fantastic side. They've got a good squad unity and they've got good fluidity through their side. Of course, these players that we're talking about aren't even at the peak of their career yet, the likes of Ruben Neves and Diego Jota especially. They're very, very young players. Matt Doherty as well. He's been at Wolves through it all. We're same with Conor Cody. But the likes of Willy Bolly and even the other centre-back in Roman Saiz, they're absolutely fantastic, consistent players, which is massive for them. I think Nuno is an absolutely fantastic coach as well. He's done brilliant since he's been at Wolves. But Wolves finishing 5th and getting Europa League, I think that is a fair prediction for them.
Yeah, and like Welsh put in the comments again, he's put Wolves are the big 6 team killers, and I completely agree with that. When you look at Arsenal, Tottenham and Leicester, they as teams, they struggle to beat the bigger sides. Wolves, on the other hand, they took it to the big sides, and obviously they beat Man City 3-2. They did the double of Man City. They beat them 2-0 at the Etihad and 3-2 at home. So they have shown, even against Liverpool, we had 2 very, very tough games against them last season, even at home. Wolves probably deserved a draw after that Pedro Neto goal was chalked off for VAR when it probably wasn't even offside. And when we went to the Molineux last season and we scraped a 2-1 win, that was one of the toughest games of the season last year for Liverpool. So yeah, Wolves, I've got a lot of respect for Wolves. I think they're a fantastic side, and I think they will finish ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham and have a fantastic season with that Europa League distraction.
So that's it. So we'll now get them in order. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be the 8th to 17th that I'm going to need in order, Will. So you had Leicester finishing 8th, Everton 9th, Southampton 10th.
Yep.
Sheffield United 11th.
Yep.
Was it West Ham in 12th?
Yep, West Ham 12th.
Who was 13th?
Newcastle 13th.
14th was?
Burnley.
15th was?
Villa.
16th.
I had Leeds 16th, Brighton 17th.
There we go. It's in order then. So that is the tier list done. I'll just quickly run through it again for everyone listening. Liverpool will be champions. Champions League spaces go to Manchester City in 2nd, Chelsea in 3rd, Manchester United in 4th. Be happy with that. 5th, is Wolves, 6th Arsenal, 7th Tottenham. Sorry. So 8th to 17th, we've got Leicester, Everton, Southampton, Sheffield United, West Ham, Newcastle, Burnley, Villa, Leeds, and Brighton. Then from 18th to 20th, the 3 teams going down, unfortunately, Bembo. Will has got Crystal Palace going down, Fulham, and West Brom going down. So that is that for the tier list. 1 second, I will F11 off here and go back onto here now. Remove that, and it's just me and Will on the screen. I can now see the comments. Just get these comments out of the way before we finish. Bembo said, to be fair, I think Palace won't sack Roy because of his history, but I do see Roy stepping down if we have a terrible start. Wolves had tough opponents last season, like you said, Will. Spurs handled City this season. Spurs handled City this season pretty well, in fact.
I think Kieren, his internet has just shut the bed, so he's left. But yeah, Bernardo said Spurs handled City this season pretty well, in fairness. Ivan's put Mark Noble as well as John Fleck makes me bring my pants to my big name, our lads, and it's Fulham stay up. I'll come. No, I'm not gonna lie. Well, Ivan, I don't even know what to say to that, Ivan, to be honest with you. I've no idea what to say. Are you alright, Kieren? Yeah.
Apologies, but I don't know what just happened. I'm not going to lie. I tried tapping on the comments, and my tab just completely went. I apologise to everyone. What should it is the Will stream. I'm glad Josh was in here just in case. Weird.
Just, I mean, the first comment I saw as soon as he left was Ivan's comment, and to be honest with you, I don't even know how to react to that.
Mark Noble, as well as John Fleck, makes me cream my pants and tickle my pickle, like impregnate me, lads. And if Fulham stay up, I'll cut my knob off. Not gonna lie. I think it's time to end the stream. Yeah. I think it's now getting to that time where everyone's getting a little bit crazy. Anyway, thank you all for joining. We've had a lot of people in here today. It's been crazy with the comments. I have tried my best to keep up with them. Apologies if I missed anybody's comments. Will has also tried to keep up with them as well, if I have missed any. Ivan said, Mark Noble.
Oh, no.
So it's time. It's time to end the stream, of course. Once again, do subscribe if you are new. We're on the road to 700 subscribers. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe. Hit the share. Hit the comment. Anything you want to do, just do it. All that good stuff. And if you don't do it, I'm going to send Rowan around to your house and he will knock you all. But thank you very much, Will, for joining me today.
Thanks for me again.
I think with me and you, it's the Premier League show, isn't it? Because we are.
It is indeed.
So yeah,
Premier League fans here.
We are the Premier League fans out of our group, out of the Sports Corner boys. Of course, that's all today. Thank you again to everybody in the stream. I know Josh has been in here. Thank you, Josh, for monitoring like my bloody dad. Yeah, that's all from me and Will today. Do tune in tomorrow though, because we do have the Wrestling Corner with Rowan himself, and it was SummerSlam yesterday, of course.
And before we end as well, the NFL Corner will make its return on Thursday. We've been on a bit of a hiatus, nothing much to talk about, but the season predictions will be coming in because the season starts. It would have started 3 weeks yesterday, so I'm buzzing for that.
Well, that is absolutely massive news for fans of the NFL, of course, and you and Kieren can actually start to get those podcasts back out and have fun with them as well. So, like I said, this is now going to be the third time I've thanked you all again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mum. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day.
Goodbye. Mandingo bingo, says Josh. Goodbye.
Mandingo bingo. Cheers, lads. Goodbye.
See you later.